Hello and welcome to Elseworlds, a DC fan podcast. My name is Jordan. We're going to be talking Superman and Lois Season 4 premiere. And with me, as always, is Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm okay. I'm gonna try not to cry during this episode. Um, I came close to crying watching these two episodes of Superman and Lois.
I must be heartless because I didn't even come close to crying.
Really?
Yeah.
God, you're just so cold.
Yeah. I usually am somebody that will cry during stuff, but this didn't really get me, I guess.
The death of Superman didn't get me. I knew that was coming. I was kind of braced for that.
Right.
Jordan, when Lex Luthor stomps on the heart, and then Jordan is convinced he ruined everything. His chance to save his dad. That really got to me. And when Jonathan's like, I just never thought he would die. It's like this delayed reaction. I was like, oh shh, like that. Whew, it got to me, man.
So we're going to be talking about episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 was called The End and the Beginning, directed by Gregory Smith, written by Brent, Fletcher, and Todd Helbing. And episode 2, A World Without, which was directed by Sudz, Sutherland, and written by Katie Aldrin and Kristi, Korzec. These were aired on October 7th, 2024, as we kicked off the final season of Superman and Lois. We only have 8 episodes remaining at this point. Only 9 more weeks, I believe it is, because the finale is another 2-parter. So unfortunately, we're coming to the end. So give me your just general thoughts here on the finale, and then we'll kind of dive into the episodes.
All right, so the Doomsday stuff was fantastic. Epic fights, the chunks of the moon, the cape, in the that was amazing. I Thankfully the Cushings came down in time to save Lois from a stampede of Smallville in their grief. Lex Luthor was incredible in these 2 episodes. I thought he stole the show. And yeah, I thought it was really heavy, compelling TV. I didn't have a problem with it. I knew it was coming. Um, I think I kept trying to like tell my mom about the death of Superman and Funeral for a Friend. I was trying to get her in the mindset of, don't freak out, but I think it was heavier for her because she's not really just familiar with the death of Superman storyline. It's hard to see Superman die.
Yeah, I guess for me, I thought the episodes were strong. I watched them last night. I think it all depends on where it goes from here, right? We've heard that this does something that no other Superman adaptation has done. We've also heard some rumors on other DC characters coming in. One of them is alluded to in this episode.
Yes, big time. Very exciting.
Then
You're
we
gonna need
also
Superman for that though, so that's
yeah. So it's like I guess it kind of hinges on, for me, how long does Superman stay dead?
And does the never done before means keep
He
him
never
dead?
comes back. Right.
And I really hope that's not the case. I'm gonna feel a little almost cheated if that's the case.
I had to think it's not the case because I just feel like, can you have Superman and Lois as a show with it just being Lois, right? Like
All right.
it just be called
Mhm.
Lois.
Look, I look at it like I look at a backup quarterback situation. For those who aren't into football, if your starting quarterback goes down, you're hoping that it's just for 3 to 5 games and you win half of them, right? And that's, just get by. And I'm trying to figure out what is the amount of episodes that they can get by without Superman fully being alive. And I think they can make it halfway through the season. And then I
That's
think
my vibe. Yeah.
that's the that's the cutoff point. I I think you're gonna get flashbacks. I think you're gonna get uh the fortress hologram uh that he set up for them. And I think Jordan is going to be your Superman adjacent character. Like he's going to be your Superman stand-in. I'd be really interested where John Henry Irons falls here, because you would think if there was a guy who could help Jordan in this moment, I don't think it's Lois. I don't think Lois can help her kid right now because she's grieving too. And she has to balance being frustrated with him and being his mom and supportive of him. And there's too much built up baggage there on Jordan's side. So I think I could see John Henry Irons and General Lane being the two people that get Jordan to be the hero he needs to be, that he can keep the whole things at bay until Superman gets back.
We know that like they had to, set some of these characters aside as guest stars. Some of it is just like a technical thing, right? Like Sam Lane didn't feel less like a series regular
Mm-hmm.
because it's all just money stuff on how much they get paid. A lot of these characters can still appear in almost all the episodes. Like we've
Yeah,
seen
just cut
Sarah
the
and
lines.
Lana in both episodes, right? So
They probably have a number of words they can say, and then they just cut it right at that point.
I think actually it's just more about like I don't even think it's certain lines. I think it is a just a stipulation contract wise on how much they get paid per episode. If
Mm-hmm.
or like they don't get top billing, they get the guest star billing, stuff like that. That plays out. So far, these two episodes have felt like normal Superman and Lois,
Yeah.
right? We haven't gotten the Cushings yet, like Kyle and uh, what Kristi, right?
Is she a cushy now?
I can consider they're getting married. They have a baby, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
I guess she's gonna be a cushy now.
and
Um,
we didn't get Henry Irons yet, John Henry Irons, or his daughter yet. But they look to be in the previews for the next week.
yeah.
So for sure they'll be coming in soon. We know that everybody's back, so we'll definitely get them. It's just I would assume, like you said, we have till the half of the season because what that does, it gives you time to show Jordan maybe filling in as Superboy, John Henry
Mm-hmm.
Irons maybe filling in as Steel, right? That void for Superman, but then he's back and he's able to take on characters like Lex and, of course, Doomsday, and of course the other one hinted, Brainiac. It lets you do that, which I would assume, Chris, is maybe the I'm blanking right now. The guy that plays Reverse Flash,
Tom Cavanaugh.
Tom Cavanaugh. I am sure that's probably Tom Cavanaugh's
He
voice.
kind of, what's cool about him though? He kind of looks like like an older Milton Fine from Smallville.
Yeah,
Like,
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah, like he kind of like, if that's your frame of reference for that character, and he's good at playing the villain already, it makes a lot of sense. It also makes sense that the character they didn't think they could use and the character that Tom Cavanaugh is playing would be one of the same. So yeah, I would expect Tom Cavanaugh Brainiac. Um, dude, go Reverse Flash and Brainiac. If that's the case,
Those are two iconic characters that you would be playing. Tom Cavanaugh could have under his belt, as DC villains.
Actually,
That'd be pretty
it
big.
kind of makes me think of an idea for a show we should do is a DC Hall of Fame for actors,
Okay,
or
Hall of
or
Fame.
like a Hall of Fame, something. But Tom Cavanaugh's certainly in it if he gets Brainiac under his belt.
If we did something like that, oh yeah, we could do that. We could do DC character Hall of Fame, right?
Yep,
Like, right? The actor goes into the Hall of Fame
as that character.
as that character, or they could go in with like a blank cap, like the baseball ones, if they've played multiple characters
Yeah.
that are just as iconic.
Well, let's be honest. He would go in
As
the
it go
Hall of
as
Fame
Reverse
as
Flash, yeah.
Reverse Flash, and then it'd be like a little asterisk under it.
A
It's
little
like,
asterisk that says if he is Brainiac, but
yeah,
then it would also say Harrison Wells,
yeah.
and then it would say Harry Wells,
Ed Reed played for the Jets and the Texans. Who do you think he's going to the Hall of Fame as?
Sherlock
Or
Wells, right? Like, it's just like all these characters that he
yeah,
goes in.
who's he in the Hall of Fame as? He's in the Hall of Fame as a Raven. So, that's how it works. But no, Tom Cavanaugh is as Brainiac. I'm just like, and what's funny, because I'm watching the show and I'm like, I'm picking up on it,
Yeah.
and I look over and I'm like, I don't think Mom picked up on this because she doesn't really know the Superman lore the way I do, and she's started watching Smallville, but she's still on like season 3. So I'm like, I don't think it registered for her, and I'm like so excited, but I'm trying to not ruin it.
Yeah, I because the way that they said it, right, for people that didn't catch it, if you didn't catch it, was like they say like what a brainiac that guy is or whatever, right? So
Yeah, it's a hint, wink, wink.
yeah, so it definitely is set up. It was Lex's assistant saying it to Lex while they're waiting for Doomsday to bring back the heart. Um,
I'm a little confused at how much control Lex Luthor has of Doomsday.
well, yeah, I know for some people that's their sticking point for it, but like I think he had really, I forget how, I didn't rewatch season 3 before watching this, but I would assume, right, like he had some sort of control over him because of what they were doing to him. I don't think he has like full control, but for some reason, Bizarro, who is now Doomsday, is kind of locked in with Lex, probably just because what I would think is that it's getting revenge on Superman, is what I would think. I don't know where he's going to be now, right? He kind of leaves Lex. We don't know where he goes, I don't
I don't
think.
know how much control, like how much is in the mind and how much is just Hulk smash kind of Doomsday kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, he seems very lasered in on Superman. Superman's out of the picture. My problem is there's nobody in the world that can stop this thing. Um, and I'm scared for Jordan. I hope he doesn't try.
Yeah, really.
Because he
Um,
seems to not listen to reason.
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
He just rushes in. And I felt so bad for him, because first off, Lois, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but Lois and Jonathan are a little unfair, because in their state of mind, if Lois had powers, she would have been a problem in the same vein. She would have thought faster than her feet. She would have gone for any chance she could find. Wouldn't matter if she was ready or not. And I, I,
But
I
what I would
felt
say
she
to
was
that,
very harsh on Jordan.
what I would say to that, Chris, is that I think she knows that. I think the issue is that she wouldn't care, right? Like she would absolutely go hog ham into it, right? But she does care that Jordan does because it's her kid. It's the mother
Yeah.
instinct coming out of her where she says like you need to be careful.
I would have liked to see a little more love and support and a little less, because he's going to beat himself. Because if Jordan has shown you anything, he'll beat himself up for you.
Good.
Uh,
No, as a Jordan fan, because he
mhm.
shares my name and I like the character.
He's my favorite part of the show that is not Clark.
But what I'll say is, she's absolutely right. While I was rooting for the kids to actually pull this off, now as a father, I'm sit here watching the show and I'm like, no, Lois is absolutely right. Like,
I don't think she was wrong. I think you just need to not put that on him because he's dealing with as much as you are, and
I don't
he
think she
has
was really
powers.
putting anything on him though. Like, I think it's one of those things where Jordan is going to beat himself up anyway, right? Like let's be real. Even if she approaches it differently, he is just that type of character. He would do that. And that's why I find things so funny when people try to say this is like a Todd Helbing insert character and that he's the favorite, blah, blah, blah. Is I think a lot of times we're actually supposed to feel that he is being pretty uh, obtuse while John is being pretty darn smart
And
and he just doesn't have the powers.
you had that moment where Jordan goes, "How do you do that? Your heart rate doesn't even go up."
Yeah,
Jonathan's
good
the
under
new actor
pressure.
for Jonathan is so much better because I think the character traits that were supposed to be ascribed to him are finally getting to be seen.
I agree with that. Michael Bishop does great in this role.
I like Jonathan an awful lot more. And I felt like he was in a really weird position here because he's kind of the balance between Lois and Jordan, and who are both emotional hotheads, like completely different style. But one of the things that killed me with Jordan, though, is I think he did what Superman would have done. And yes, Superman would have been ready for it, but Superman would have gone in there and just said, I have to find a way. I think he's more like his dad than he gives himself credit for. And I like what Jonathan said because Jordan goes, do you think I could be like him? Do you think I could be like dad? And Jonathan goes, I don't think anyone could be like him. I think that's something he needs to hear.
And I think that's just true, and it shows kind of what we all talk about when we talk about the Superman character and how important he is to the DC mythos. It's like not anybody can be Superman, right? He is a special set of circumstances by how he was raised and the power he has, and he just has those virtues.
mhm.
And he is completely unwavering when it comes to doing the right thing. The thing is though, I do think like his kids can be like him. I think sometimes they're too hard on themselves of trying to live up to him.
Yep.
But I think if we're looking at other DC characters, nobody can be like him, right? Like it's kind of like a meta approach to it in that regard. But
Yeah. And Jordan's always going to try to prove himself because he was always before he had powers. He was before he had
he
powers.
was
He was
like the loser.
conducting. Yeah, and then his father is Superman, and his mother is a Pulitzer-winning journalist, um, world
Yeah, talk
renowned.
about pressure.
It's funny because I don't think Jonathan cares, right? Jordan does, and I relate to that a lot because I kind of put that pressure on myself. Not that I have to be Superman or have to be successful because I'm from this like great amazing family. My parents worked really hard and I want to make them proud, but it's you put this pressure on yourself, and when you think you're the odd duck, you think you're the odd one out. You're always trying to prove yourself because Jordan doesn't believe it for himself right now. And until he believes it for himself and learns to love himself, he's going to have this problem. And he's such a teenager. He's such a just archetypal teenager. And you just want to give him a hug and say it's going to be all right, man. Like there are going to be worse days than well, actually, there probably won't be worse days than this,
Yeah,
but
these are pretty tough
but
days.
but there will be there will be situations like this that you will handle better in the future.
So let's talk about Jordan immediately has the pressure of trying to find his grandfather. They get there pretty late, but I think Jordan makes a good pivot that they don't really focus on that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the pivot was he was looking for his grandfather's voice, listening for his grandfather's voice. And when he heard the muffled thing, he flipped, I think, to then listening for Gretchen's voice. And
Smart.
he hears something and we don't hear it yet, I think, and he starts looking down the hallway and Lois is like, "What is it? Is it your granddad?" And he says, "No, it's her." Right? And and this is where I think Lois is handling both of these boys correctly. Is she doesn't like when they just jump feet first or head first, I guess. But when she's there and she gives them instructions,
She
it is
trusts.
she trusts them and it's okay for them to do it. Like it's more of a like it's not like don't ever use your powers, which is sometimes what, like if we're looking at maybe Man of Steel, uh Kent's would be, that's what it was, right? Like don't you dare use your power to save me,
Yeah.
right? This is like you can use your power, but we want to use it smartly. Don't go confront Luther, but it's okay to find your grandfather. Like let's do this stuff together. And she immediately, I was wondering how this was going to go, but he brings her with him, right? He
Mm-hmm.
brings her with him to the place where Otis and um, Gretchen are, and she is kind of dealing with them while she tells them, "Oh, they buried him," and then he just goes and he uses his super sight, finds where he is, bam, saves him, and they get there just in time.
Did Otis have both ears in this episode?
Did what?
Did Otis have both ears in this episode?
No, he had rapping on it.
Good. Because I didn't actually pay attention to it, and I just thought about that.
What did I forget? What happened to it? Was it something with
Didn't
Bizarro?
Bizarro bite his
I
head
think
off?
so. I think so.
Oh, his ear off. Um,
Okay. No, I totally forgot about the whole ear thing. I'm sure I'm sure a certain set of viewers are very excited that he's repping a bandage on his ear. Okay. Um let's go with let's talk about the fact that now Luther knows that the kids are Superman's and that she was married to Superman. He didn't know before, but he put the pieces together once Jordan does visit him. Um, Also, the rest of Smallville kind of figured it out because of their reaction to seeing Superman dead. So I'm sure this will kind of be a story where, like, the Smallville residents will be like, "We'll totally hide this secret for you," type of thing, is kind of what I would think. Or do you think this will spill out to the rest of the world knowing? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
there's always jerks in the crowd that won't go along with it, but I think for the most part, it'll be Smallville's secret. But I think Jordan didn't. I feel like his disguise didn't look so obvious before. Like it looks really obvious
It
that
looked
it's
more
Jordan.
obvious before, actually. He used to never hide his hair. Now he does.
Okay, yeah. I God damn it, Frodo. Um,
Yeah.
no, but seriously,
Can I
he
just say too? I really just
yeah,
put him in a Superboy suit soon because I don't like
yeah,
this suit. Like it's fine for the little times it was last year, but I think I want to see him, in a Superboy suit or something. Whether it's the black tee with the red logo and the jeans, that'd be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. If you because we're not going to get Connor Kent in this, you would imagine.
Right, right.
So just go for the kind of the Connor Kent look. That would be pretty cool. Uh, it really depends on whether or not Lois publishes that story. Because if Lois publishes that story, then all bets are off, and you can kind of wear a Kryptonian shield.
True. Uh, it'll be curious to see what happens with the funeral, which we see in previews. I assume it's next week's. Um, I assume they went back to the fortress to get his body. You think they're gonna actually put the body under, and or is it gonna be like an empty casket situation and they leave him in the
Empty
fortress?
casket situation. So if I'm the guy who plays Monopoly till he's got no dollars left, like his last dollar, his last
That's how
everything
you're supposed to
mortgaged.
play. Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. Some people can't handle it. I I will leave him in the fortress as long as I can. There's no reason to take him out of the fortress. You know, we don't know anything about Kryptonian technology. Leave him in the fortress. I don't know what you're doing with the heart. I also was like, well, even if you destroyed the heart, shouldn't you like take the heart to
Like
the fortress
can't the heart
anyway?
get healed, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
Do you think it was actually his heart or somebody else's?
Well, the thing is, it beeps. It pumped 3 times.
No, the trick one pumped 3 times to get him there.
Oh,
The heart he
you know
gives
what?
him, wasn't even pumping, right? So
Right.
I, I
Oh
don't
my
know.
goodness. Oh my goodness. And Luther wouldn't just give that up.
Yeah, I don't think he would either.
Oh, the heart could still be there. Oh,
The other
okay.
option is that maybe they turn Bizarro back. I've seen this theory, and that he
Mhm.
gives his heart, which would be like the, I guess, exact opposite of his. I don't know.
I don't know if you'd want a Bizarro heart in you, but
Yeah.
my question would be like the valves be opposite.
Yeah, like do you have to like just put it in backwards and it'd be fine, or
we
like, what?
we have reached peak comic book nerd.
Yeah. Actually, you would have to flip his heart.
It would actually have to be diagonal because it's not an exact
Right.
You know, it's a little alarming. We can joke about a man, man's heart being ripped from his chest. But
But yeah, I think the thing that was beating 3 times was like the Superman action figure or whatever
yeah,
statue
I
thing that
think you're
was.
right.
Yeah.
But I love how Jonathan was like, it's obviously a trap. Like,
And it
because he was
was,
so
yep.
like, because if he didn't say it, the entire audience was gonna be like, "It's a trap."
Yeah, the whole audience would be Admiral Akbar.
Exactly.
So here's another question I have for you. We get like this, I would say, Saw-esque game that Lois has to play, right?
Oh, that is horrifying.
Where it says, press a button to save one of your children. The other one will die. If you don't do
If
anything,
you don't
both of them
press,
will die.
yeah,
She does press a button.
I want to know which button it was.
And I think we'll find out, because I think this is part of Lex's plan. He says that he's going to turn the boys against her, right? Like how she
Hmm.
turned him against
So
her
you think
daughter
we'll
against.
know what button it was?
Yeah, and I would not be shocked if it's Jonathan. And the reason I would say that, and the reason I would do that if I was in her same spot, would be, Jordan, you have superpowers. I have faith that you would be able to survive. I
I
spared your brother.
disagree. I disagree, and here's why I disagree. Lex knows about kryptonite, and he went to confront Lex. I want to know who. Like, here's my problem: is no person should ever be put in that situation. She's closer to Jonathan than she is Jordan. They have more of a chemistry.
I don't know if they do. Who, Jonathan and her, or Jordan and her?
Yeah, yeah, Jonathan and her.
Yeah, Jonathan and Lois have they had that conversation of like, hey, you're like the one without powers, is how I feel when your
Yep.
dad is out there with, and I really
Mhm.
like that. And that's why I never want Jordan to have powers. I keep seeing people on Reddit be like, they should give
You mean
Jonathan,
Jonathan?
yeah, they should give
Yeah.
Jonathan powers. And I'm like, no, it's this balance of Superman and Lois, Jordan and Jonathan, who have like
Hmm.
different, like they don't have powers. Um, Is Jordan affected by kryptonite? I think they revealed he was resistant to it, right?
Well, but he was definitely affected by it in this episode.
Well, he was affected by guns shooting it, which what I assume is the force of it being sent backward. Because I thought there was an episode where it found out because of his half human,
I
he
thought
did
it
not
has
get
half
affected.
effect. I thought it had half effect.
Maybe. It says here in season 1 he had a kryptonite cold lung infection that he burned away.
Yeah. He went to the fortress and got the laser, and Clark held him and said, "This is going to hurt." Remember?
Right.
And that was after John Henry Irons attacks him at the DOD, and Superman has got that gas in his lungs, and it affected his family as well.
Yeah.
And then Lois was bad that General Lane would have things that would hurt her sons.
I'm pretty sure, and I read somebody here also said he has resistance to kryptonite.
I'm a little confused about this. I'm not going to lie.
So in that case, again, if I'm Lois and know that, I'm pressing Jonathan's button.
Yeah, so here's the thing though. Whoever it's going to be used to manipulate them, but whoever's button got pressed, she's not thinking straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, so here's the thing. Like, I would definitely press Jonathan's because I think Jordan would be able to take care of himself. But then if you are thinking at a deeper level, if you know it's a setup, Jordan is absolutely going to be the one that flips out more knowing that his button wasn't pressed than Jonathan would.
Yeah.
So then you have to think, do I press Jordan so that way he doesn't find out and he doesn't get upset?
I had an emotional trigger to press Jordan. And that part of what you said is about it. Jordan would want you to press Jordan. Jonathan wouldn't judge you either way.
Exactly. That's what I think. Yeah, I think Jonathan would be like, I totally understand, Mom. You were in a very particular situation.
I feel like I would worry about Jordan more than Jonathan, even with the powers.
There is something that's like this. What was it that I was watching that had something similar?
Well, there's this movie where there was a button, and like if you pressed it, someone random would die, but like you would get money.
I think no, it wasn't that. It was something like almost the exact same setup that when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, oh my God, like this is like that. But I don't remember what it was. But it was like, if you press this button, this person would, you would save this child. If you do this button, you would save this child. And like that other child finds out, I believe.
Ooh.
I don't remember what it is. If somebody is watching or listening and that is on the tip of your tongue as well, drop it in the comments here so that way we can all figure it out together.
You know Jordan's going to freak the hell out if it's not him.
Yeah, and I hope he wouldn't. At a certain point, he has to mature and realize that. Oh, you know what it was?
But,
it's House of the Dragon. It's House of the Dragon.
There you go.
Absolutely House of the Dragon. There's no buttons, but they ask, which son would you rather us kill? And in the book, Fire and Blood, it doesn't happen in the show, but in the book, Fire and Blood, the woman chooses one son and then they kill the other son. Like, which one do you want us to kill? She chooses one and they kill the one that she wanted to save. And that way it kind of like stays with her even more. It's even more demented in that regard. But that's what it was. So thankfully I did figure it out. But if you are also commenting House of the Dragon / Fire and Blood, we're on the same page. Okay.
God, it's such a demented thing to do.
It is. I think it's definitely going to have to come back. The fact that it actually played
I didn't even
out,
think about that until you said it, though. I will admit.
The fact that it actually played out and she was like, thank you for thank you for playing along. Like, thanks for your input. I think it's going to have to come back around. if it had been what I thought was going to happen, Chris, was that Jonathan was going to walk in before the time was up, and then she would just press Jordan because she knew Jonathan was safe.
Oh, I see.
And I thought that was going to be a way that it wouldn't really affect anything at that point.
Uh-huh. But this is the max drama option.
Yes. And they do kind of play it with us a bit too, where we don't know who is the one that is actually falling into the trap. We have Jonathan going into Lex Luthor's apartment, which is now at the hotel that he bought across the street from the Gazette and from the diner. And we get Boots walking, and you're like, oh my God, there he is. No, it's Lana being like, get the hell out of here. Right? Because, Sarah's trying to
That's some
stall.
bravery from Lana.
Yeah. She's stalling because Sarah was stalling Lex. When Lana is yelling at her about it, they take their eyes off Lex and we're gone. And we think he's going to the hotel, but he's actually going to the other child and at the docks or whatever it was, where all the shipping containers were. And that's where Jordan was. Now, he does still have the weakness that's not kryptonite, though, but it was the sonar thing because of his ears and hearing, I guess, that was driving him nuts. And so he does still have a weakness, I guess, but not the... I was waiting for Lex to actually try to use kryptonite on him and it not work. Maybe that still happens in a few episodes. Because I think
this is really interesting.
I think that'd be huge
This
hubris
is
from
very
Lex.
layered.
Right? That'd be hubris from Lex, where he's like, oh, I already know what his weakness is because I know his dad's weakness, but it's like, no, you didn't think about the fact he's half human, half Krypton.
Yeah. Damn. This is very layered. Very nuanced. Very good writing.
Yeah. Well, the next episode is going to be called Always My Hero, directed by David Guntoli and written by Brent, Fletcher, and Todd Helbing. People all know Todd Helbing, one of my favorite of the Arrowverse writers, and he created this show, so he's batting 1,000 for me, really. They're also writing the finale, which is labeled "It Went By So Fast," which was the thing that is stitched into the frame that Lois is looking at. And we also get flashbacks in these episodes, Chris, here, where we get to see a little bit more of their history before the children.
I love that you got right by when he revealed himself, and you get the extra part of that scene where you must have so many questions. Ma Kent said, "I'm getting out of here."
Her main question was, can you get it up? Was her main question, because that was the next step for her.
I don't know why that struck me so funny, but the way you said that was hilarious.
It's true. And he tells her what? He's never done that with anybody. Which we knew. That's a pretty typical Superman thing. But yeah, so then we also get the flashbacks to her having issues during pregnancy. He wants to take her to the fortress, and she nixes that idea. And we also get the flashbacks of Lex finding out about her story and that she's going to publish it, and he's got a full head of hair. And then we find out about her. Again, it's kind of framed in a way where we think maybe Superman, that it takes place now or whatever, right? Or Superman's indisposed and he walks around the corner and, they're saying Superman hasn't been seen for a few days. He walks around the corner and it's a flashback to another time he was hurt, and he's got kryptonite still kind of lodged in his skin from a fight. And she mentions how she'll always be worried for him, even though he's like, hey, I can't really die. Well, you thought that, Clark.
To be fair, Seemed about right.
I think it was odd though that like there was a time where Jordan and Jonathan, I think Jonathan says, I never thought this day would come. Like I never thought he would die. But they only found out about Superman a few years ago. So I would assume that
I'm
like
gonna
the
let
rest of his
this.
life he would have thought that this was a possibility.
I'm gonna let this slide because until you have a lot like until you have like a real experience with death anyway, it doesn't really hit you that way. The
Right,
like
right.
that first one that's really big to you, rattles you a little bit. So I think that was a natural response anyway. But then if you know he's Superman, you're pretty sure he's not gonna die.
Right, right. Okay, anything else about these episodes? Did we miss something at all?
Yeah, we kind of mixed and matched them a little bit. Jordan, pick which kid.
We definitely know. Okay,
I
so we have real quick. We have Lois knows the whereabout. Lois and Sam probably know the whereabouts of Luther's daughter Elizabeth,
mhm.
who will be played by frequent director of the show, um, and also former Agents of Shield actress Elizabeth Henstridge is going to be playing Luther's daughter. She's directed 2 episodes of Superman and Lois before. She's directed Gotham Knights, an episode of that. Unfortunately for her, she's and then of course she's also directed Agents of Shield, but she was also in Agents of Shield as Gemma Simmons.
Yeah.
Um,
I refuse to believe that anyone this pretty could be birthed by Lex Luthor.
well, better believe it.
I, I
Um,
she, her mom must be stunning.
yeah, who do you think her mom is? Is it somebody we know? Is it like Mercy?
If Mercy would be my best. It, Miss Tessmacher, Mercy, um, you know, with Lex, it really could just be some prostitute. Um, well, he's
I would
married.
doubt that. Yeah,
He's just a scoundrel. Uh, this Lex doesn't give a. Uh, he's his ex-wife. Who would be his ex-wife? Who's his contemporary? I think it'd be Mercy.
that's what I was thinking. I mean, it could just be that it's nobody, right? Like nobody that's
Right.
already known or whatever. But it's just
Anyway, she's got to be stunning because his
it's a
daughter's
fun
got nothing from him.
it's a fun thought that it could be somebody like that in Superman lore.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so she was apparently, you know, she turned on her dad, doesn't really speak to him. Do we think she will be a hero esque character, or will he kind of sink his claws into her and kind of get her to flip again?
I think.
Because here's the thing, too. While Luther has done many bad things,
Hmm.
the thing he went to jail for was proven to not be true. So if she finds that out, it could maybe turn her
Yeah,
against Lois and them.
yeah, but it's kind of like Al Capone got in for tax evasion. And it's
Yes,
like the
yeah.
smallest of his crimes. Like the Lex Luthor might be innocent of that crime, but the idea that this man is innocent is just totally laughable. I It's totally laughable. So if I was Lois, I would actually hit harder on that point. I'd be like, "Oh, so you're innocent of one of your many crimes. Congratulations."
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
I
interesting.
I could see his daughter not turning on him. But the fact that she's been hiding, she's probably resentful of hiding. So there's probably more resentment than just what he did.
True.
Never trust a Luther.
I'm excited to see her. I mean, she is I really loved her in Agents of the Shield. I was a big Agents of Shield fan, so I am very excited that she is. I was always happy to see her when she was directing episodes, like in the sense of like, oh, like I'd see her name pop up in the credits and be like, oh, she's doing something. Like that's cool. So I am very excited to see her in an actual, like television screen role again. So
yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah, it's a good start to the season. It really hinges on Brainiac and what they do with Clark.
Yeah, I think you're right. It takes halfway through the season maybe to get him back.
It's got to be at least 3 episodes, or else it loses some
I think we said
credibility.
that earlier when we were talking
Yeah.
about it. It's like, okay, maybe 3 or 4 episodes to make sure it feels like an actual thing. And then boom, like let's get into it.
hmm
There you go.
Now, when he comes back, will he have his memories? That'll be interesting.
God help us. Yes. I do not want the Kal-El, no. Like I don't want that whole thing from
No, that's
Justice
what I'm
League.
thinking about. Like,
No.
are there any mother boxes here?
No.
Kal-El, no.
Please no. Okay.
Tell me, do you bleed?
Thank God we're moving on from all that. I just want to say, like, I gave it its chance when it was premiering and stuff, but I am so ready for the DCU and a new interpretation.
And then Batman falls, and he's like, "Yep."
Yeah, so ready for an actual new interpretation here.
Okay, well, it's very interesting because you're in a world without all the other heroes. We're used to the death of Superman with the rest of the Justice League there.
Right, and originally this was an Arrowverse show that then got shifted, so it would have been cool that if they did do this, we have like Flash show up and
Barry.
I would love to see Grant Gustin as the Flash to show up in this episode, or
It'd be fantastic.
This season.
Like, at this point, you don't have a show to protect from the credibility of the Arrowverse's final days in the CW thing. So you really could do it. Like, it's not like you have to like worry about another season.
Right. This week was 10 years since the premiere of Flash. Which my rewatch pod is still coming, by the way. It's just called I've gotten busy with fatherhood and stuff. But that is
well, you believe in the impossible. And
plus also I feel like it needs some time. It's only been a year since the show ended. I feel like if I can do it next year, it'll kind of feel a little bit more distant and we can get into
it. You also want to have a bit of a rhythm,
Yeah. So I'm trying to record some ahead of time and put it out there.
Yeah.
Afterwards. But yeah, so keep an eye on that. That'll be coming probably next year. Yeah. Anything else before we head out?
I think we hit it. I can't wait for the next batch of Twisted World's finest shows between Penguin and Superman and Lois to talk about. I think I called it in the group chat the other day, Penguin and Lois.
Yeah, since no Superman.
Yeah. So
the Penguin and the Lois, actually.
The Penguin and the Lois.
Yeah, because all these shows usually add "the" in front of it, so it's the Lois.
The Lex Luthor.
At elseworldsdcfan for any sort of feedback on any of our social medias, or email us elseworldsdcfan@gmail.com. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also now comment on Spotify episodes. We have our Agatha coverage over on Marvel's To the Infinity Saga and Beyond podcast, which is ongoing still. We wrapped up our Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power coverage over on the Fantasy Folk. So we have a fun episode coming later this week that is building a Fellowship of the Ring out of Game of Thrones characters. So that is what we'll be doing over on fantasy folk this week as we kind of transition to some Game of Thrones stuff. The premiere of our Films for the Very First Time, Season 2 with my friend Casey McGeorge premieres October 25th over on Films for the Very First Time, where he picked a TV show that I'd seen some episodes of, but like don't really remember much of, which was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I watched 3 episodes of that. We talk about it. And that show usually runs from October to April or May. So we'll have, episodes every other week during that time. And Pod Awakens kind of on hold for a little bit. There will be more monthly stuff going on over there until Skeleton Crew, which premieres in early December. So check out all of that stuff on the podcast. Chris is wrapping up Capes and Animation's Caped Crusader coverage, so make sure you check that out as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time when we talk any sort of DC news and Penguin Episode 4, Superman and Lois, Season 4, Episode 3.